Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Service Cloud training. Today, we're going to start with getting started with Salesforce Service Cloud, and we're going to be looking into industry knowledge. But before we overwhelm ourselves with so many things, I'm going to give you a background information about the training, about our approach, and what we're going to be doing. But first thing first is to look at what Salesforce recommends. So if we go to Salesforce and you type in Service Cloud exam guide, I usually go with the curriculum according to Salesforce. Okay. So this is what Salesforce recommends. Salesforce recommends that we besides the fact that we can go to curriculum, but I just want to read a few things. A Salesforce certified Service Cloud consultant designs and deploys solutions that support customer business processes and requirements using the Salesforce application. The consultant has experience designing solutions using the Service Cloud functionality and can lead implementation of this solution within a customer organization. So the expectations are very high for you to work as a Service Cloud consultant. So if you're in this room right now and it's just your first time of hearing about Salesforce, this is not the right room for you, okay? Because I will make a lot of assumptions, and those assumptions would be, you know, the basics of Salesforce administration, and you can find your way, navigate around the Salesforce platform, okay? So you'll be leading implementation and you'll be providing solutions. So you'll be faced with business challenges, and based on those challenges, you will be recommending solution, okay? This is no longer admin. This is you working as a consultant. So the expectations are high in this class, okay? In addition to that, every exam, every certifications, every training with Salesforce comes with certification, and the curriculum according to the certification is you should know industry knowledge. So industry knowledge talks about KPIs, about you knowing what Service Cloud is all about, you knowing exactly the purpose of Service Cloud, okay? If you're working in a customer agent environment, you need to know how to implement Service Cloud. And if at all you've implemented Service Cloud, you need to know the purpose of implementing Service Cloud within that environment. In addition to that, we would learn about implementation strategies. So what does that mean? As a consultant, you wouldn't go into a workplace without having a good understanding of how to implement whatever solution you even have. So how do you approach it? How do you do your requirement gathering? How do you talk to stakeholders? What kind of methodology would you use? You know, Salesforce offers, Salesforce does not offer these services as such. It's much of a background knowledge of how you approach projects. But then again, there's still some basis of Salesforce that we need to know. With our Salesforce platform, we'll be going through different licensing and deployment strategies, okay? So you'll be deploying, if you're a standard Service Cloud member, you'll be deploying stuff in the production. So we have a Service Cloud solution design. How do you design solution? How do you integrate systems, external systems such as CTI? How do you do some trade-offs? How do you analyze cost benefits? Is it okay to even get a Service Cloud application license? Would they benefit the company you're trying to consult for? These are consideration strategies, and you go into solution design, okay? And again, there's so many features of the Service Cloud. All these are just these features of the Service Cloud. So after industry knowledge, implementation strategies, solution design, you realize all these section, they are a unique thing to Service Cloud in the sense that knowledge management, you can work as a Service Cloud consultant with focus on knowledge management. You can also work as a Service Cloud consultant with focus on omni-channel setup. You can work as a Service Cloud with focus on just case management, okay? There's so many things that we can learn. However, we need to get started. So let's go into some of the things I have for you today, and the strategy for this training would be 30 minutes to 1 hour of theoretical knowledge, then another 30 minutes for practical session, because there is no way we can do Service Cloud without you understanding the basics. And then we go into the hands-on session, okay? So it's not all going to be hands-on as we had for the admin, because it requires you to understand the basics. And after that, we do some hands-on. And this is going to be training for Monday to Wednesday. Thursday will be sales Service Cloud badge. So you need to get a super badge for Service Cloud. And as usual, your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday would be tutorials, but we have clinics Monday to Friday. So don't worry about clinics and everything. The plan is still the same, besides the fact that we are just changing from Salesforce admin to Salesforce Service Cloud, okay? So now, what are the expectations from industry knowledge point of view? It carries 10% of the certification, and what are you expected to know? Explain the factors that influence key contact center metrics, okay? So you want to explain that factors. What are the factors that influences the key contact center metrics, the KPIs, the business challenges? What triggers business to say, okay, I want to implement Service Cloud? If you don't know what the trigger point is for that business, you will not be able to implement successful, you'll not be able to have a successful Service Cloud implementation within the organization, okay? So you want to understand or explain the benefits of different interaction channels. What are interaction channels? Emails, text message, website, community, phone calls. Those are interaction with customer. You want to explain which and why should you implement this, okay? Even if you're going to implement CTIs, is there any benefit to implementing CTIs for an organization? What is CTI? What is that when it comes to Service Cloud? We're going to learn about this, and for some, we're going to implement, okay? So please be ready for technical sessions, okay? And again, you're expected to have a Salesforce admin background for you to be in this session, so you wouldn't see the things I'm teaching you strange or new, okay? So now you want to identify knowledge base. What are knowledge base when it comes to Service Cloud implementation? For instance, some businesses could be knowledge centric. By knowledge centric, I mean they are trying to move into a self-support system such that they want customers to find solution for their problem before they can call the customer service. So what they're trying to do is they're moving to tech-driven solutions, tech-driven self-service solution, okay? Like what we're doing at Blackforce, for instance, we're trying to move things to email support, like web tech solution support. So it eliminates the need for an individual or a person that has a face to attend to you. So what that means is that in future, if things grow, we can easily say we are outsourcing our support to a dedicated support company that understands our business. And the only thing we get to do at Blackforce is to focus on training, okay? So we need to understand strategies. Why do businesses want to implement a service solution? You need to know those kind of stuff. So we're going to learn a lot, and most likely we're going to be using Blackforce as a case study for whatever we do, because we have a license for Salesforce and we can implement a lot of things with the Salesforce platform. And if anything requires us to have a license, we can easily buy it and implement those solutions, okay? So be ready for a very lengthy, interesting session, but it's going to be very quick because Service Cloud is not much. However, you need to understand the practical side of Service Cloud as well. So now, today, I'm going to be going through introduction to Service Cloud, okay? I will introduce Service Cloud to you, tell you what are the things you need to know. Then we're going to go into industry knowledge itself. For instance, we're going to go into KPIs, business challenges, interaction channels, and the likes, okay? And more importantly, we're going to do 1 or 2 hands-on sessions if time permits us. But definitely, we need to know how the Service Cloud is being implemented within organizations. So let's start. So what's its Service Cloud? And Service Cloud is an easy-to-use customer service application. I've overemphasized that, but then again, I need you to know that when it comes to Service Cloud, it means I want to help my customers. I want to provide service. I want to make my customer happy. So it doesn't matter what you are using to make your customer happy. The most important thing is you want to be service oriented. You want to make sure that the channels which the customers are reaching out to you on are well optimized for customer success. That's what Service Cloud is all about. So it doesn't matter whether it's just web to case you're doing. As long as web to case is optimized for customer success, then you are implementing Service Cloud within Salesforce, okay? In Salesforce, we have so many options. As you can see, we have so many options to implement Service Cloud. One of them is the City High. City High is whereby you have a call center, you integrate the call center, and whenever a call is coming in, you already know the profile, you already know the accounts, you already know the contacts of who is calling. So it makes it easier for you to address to their needs. You have what they call communities. Communities mostly are self-service portals, whereby you go into the self-service portal, which I'm going to show you today. You will create frequently asked questions, and you can use iSteam Analytics to predict certain things based on the questions they're asking. And you can also gamify service support, meaning that you can encourage customers or you can encourage agents to write good articles that can improve customer support, and which articles get viewed or get liked, get upvoted, kind of like rewards the agent as well, okay? So we also have what they call the live agents, which maybe we can do that tonight, is when you set up a chat, a live chat. So for instance, if you go to salesforce.com right now, you will see this chat. This is what we're likely to do today, just to implement a very simple a chat assistant that would enable you just talk to a live support. This is Service Cloud implementation. How do you help your customer? How do you make sure your customers are happy? How do you make sure that there's high customer satisfaction rate? That's what Service Cloud is all about, and that's what Salesforce Service Cloud is all about, okay? So now let's go into Service Console. So you've seen Salesforce. Let me open my Trailhead. So I'm just gonna log in. Oh no, okay, let me log in. Actually, this is Blackforce. Let me see if I can just log in into my Trailhead. Don't worry, I'll go to my Trailhead. Okay. So back to the presentation. Before I got distracted, I want to have that open. The Service Console. What is a Service Console? For most of you that have attended the admin class, you will notice that there is what they call the normal tabs, and there's what they call the console tabs, okay? The console navigation. The Service Console is dedicated platform, like dedicated feel and look that helps improve service and that helps improve the interactions of the agent with the data they need to accelerate or help with the support for the customer, okay? So Service Console is different from the normal and usual feel you get from the Salesforce, typical Salesforce platform. So for instance, let me just see if this is loaded. So I'll just go back to explain that. That's Service Cloud, just like an help desk, okay? Then we have what they call the case management, okay? I'm introducing Service Cloud to you. I'm not going in depth to show you things right now. I'm just gonna be introducing, okay? Case management. What is case management when it comes to Service Cloud? So everything you've learned about cases during your admin, is case management. It's just that now you put in logic. You're putting logic into your escalation, into your escalation rules. You're putting logic into your assignment rules. You're not just creating things out of the thin air. You are thinking as a consultant. You are analyzing the business needs. Okay? You have a support queue. You have an inquiry queue. You have an abandoned queue. Okay? So you're now asking, what kind of business am I trying to supply or present a Service Cloud solution for? That will now trigger those points. And again, you cannot do a full implementation of Service Cloud without a proper analysis of the business. So you need to do a thorough business analysis before you start saying, no, I want to do case management. Because what if you create queues that would never be used? What if you're creating support record types that is not needed for the business? So don't just go with this, with the idea that Salesforce helps you create record types. No, okay? Don't go with that idea. Go with a strategic idea that I want to provide a customer-centric solution or a service-centric solution for this business, okay? So I wouldn't be talking as a developer. I wouldn't be talking as a technical person. I'll be talking as someone that is providing a customer-centric solution for a business, okay? So now, whatever you've learned in cases would fall under this category of case management, okay? Channels and digital engagement. What does that mean? So right now, I told you that you can get in touch. If you go to the first slide, you can get in touch with, a customer can get in touch with you via different channels, right? So these are what Salesforce refers to as channels, okay? Channels are the social media, the emails, the web, the, if you guys are aware, the SOS, which is something that Salesforce uses to live video chats with a customer, okay? Salesforce has a lot of tools that we will see during this training. I just want you to know that when we talk about channels and digital engagement, it's all about how is this case arriving into the hub? What email, what channel, email, phone call, web chat, social media, and the likes. Those are just channels, okay? We're gonna learn how to maybe implement one of these channels and see how it works. Again, knowledge base. I told you about the self-service support. Everything goes on that knowledge base. Knowledge base is, can I use an existing article? Can I use an existing knowledge of how I resolve a solution to address a new customer case? That's knowledge base. Knowledge base is like proprietary of information stored to speed up the service. So if you have a current situation of I cannot access single login or I cannot see my training schedule, if Blackforce has grown to a stage whereby we cannot predict the kind of questions people can ask, we don't even need a technical person to be able to address customers' issue, because we would have occupied or we would have created or curated number of articles that can help anyone get answers to what they need without having to even send support an email. Okay, so that's what they call customer-centric. That's what they call developing a service-centered or your knowledge-centered a platform for managing your customers. Okay, you are creating articles that can be used to address customer issue even in the future. Okay, so now we go to omni-channel and agent productivity. What does this mean? This is probably one of the most interesting aspects of Service Cloud, because it helps you improve productivity of an agent. What does that mean? For instance, if you're working in a very big organization, chances are some people will be working. I mean, when I say people, I mean agents, okay? Chances are some agents will be working, while some agents will feel like, well, Rosemary is working, I don't need to work, or that email has been replied to, I don't need to reply to that email. Omnichannel and agent productivity is used to optimize how your agents get assigned to work. So we don't need to even tell you to go and send that email. We don't even need to tell you to go and pick up that case. You will be assigned to that case automatically based on artificial intelligence. And one thing Salesforce uses is they call it queue-based routing, which is, okay, I am going to assign cases to queues, or skill-based routing, meaning that I'm going to assign cases based on the skill of the agent. So for instance, if we have technical issue, we assign it to a technical person. If we have language issue, we assign it to someone that can speak that language. So we don't just assign cases because they are there. We don't just assign cases to agent. By agent, again, I mean those that respond to cases, those that are in support operations, okay? So we don't just assign cases to people based on availability. We assign it based on skills of that agent. So if that person cannot solve technical stuff, we don't give them technical cases. In addition, there is what they call most available and the least active, okay? Most available is when an agent, when someone is available, that's the most available, right? Is the one that has higher availability. Or they call it, or another one, routing strategy called least active. Least active is, oh, this guy haven't received any task in the last 1 hour. We need to assign this guy a task, okay? That's least active or most available. This guy is currently available and is not taking tasks, okay? Something like that, we're going to explain and see how it works in Salesforce. And there's what they call entitlement and milestones. So entitlement project process management is when you have a customer, okay? Let me explain this because it's very important. You're going to be implementing this for businesses. So I need to be very careful in terms of the way I explain it so you can implement it properly. So entitlement is when you have a business, okay? You have a business and you have what they call service level agreements. The first service level agreement could be anyone that sends an email, you need to reply, obviously. The second service level agreement could be anyone that sends an email and is a premium customer, you need to reply within 4 hours. So that's a different service level agreement. So in that case, you have what they call a standard agreement, which you have with a general customer, and a premium agreement, or which whatever agreement you want to call it, a support level agreement, which you have with your premium customer. Okay, so the entitlement is now a case of how many times can I reply via email for this customer? How many times can I call this customer via the phone? So the entitlement is this customer is entitled to 100 phone calls in a month. Anytime this customer has an issue, they can call and we can pick up. Okay, so now they've called and we pick up. That's one entitlement. In a day, if they call 10 times, you can pick up. Now, what happens if they call more than they are entitled to? You don't pick up. That's how to manage entitlement. And milestones is when you have an entitlement, they kind of like go hand in hand, okay? When you have an entitlement, then there is a milestone associated to that entitlement, meaning that when a customer sends a case, they need to get a response within 10 minutes, okay? And if 10 minutes pass, they still haven't gotten a response, then you escalate. But milestones is this first 10 minutes, they should have gotten a response. The next 2 hours, they should have gotten their first resolution. First resolution is a customer has actually, no, the first email could just be an auto response. They send an email and we acknowledge that they've sent an email. The second one could just be now an agent has picked up that case and they're about to resolve it. That's what they call the first resolution, okay? First resolution is when an agent is ready to address that issue. Then the second resolution, the third resolution, and the likes. It's up to the business how they want to do milestones. But generally, milestones are typically auto response, first resolution, second resolution, and tier 3 customer support, something like that, okay? But we're going to be doing all that when we get to entitlement, and milestones, okay? And again, I think I've explained pretty much what we're going to be doing in terms of the details of the Service Cloud. However, let's go into much details, okay? Service Cloud setup. How do you set up Service Cloud? We already know how to set up a simple application. As you can see, when you are doing your trailhead, let's go to, let me just use an org that I haven't used. When you're doing your trailhead, we have what they call the basic app, which is fine. But there's also what they call the service console. The service console, which is a bit different from your basic app. So there is a way to set up your application that would be designed or be showing this kind of look compared to the one you had when you're creating your normal app. So that's what they call the Service Cloud setup. You are setting up how you want how you want agents to have the look and feel you want the agent to have for their console. How emails should arrive, how tests should arrive into the system, who gets certain tests, who get certain emails, who get certain support and the likes. So this whole setup is different from the normal setup you've always seen. Okay, we're going to get into the practical session very soon that you get to see a lot of this stuff in action. However, you need to know that Service Cloud setup is different from your Salesforce admin setup. Obviously, it is not called Salesforce admin setup, but it's called the general setup. So understand the difference between the Salesforce, the setup, which is default to Salesforce, and the Service Cloud specific setup, okay? Now, so when it comes to Service Cloud case management, you guys have already seen it in your Salesforce admin classes. However, specifically, when it comes to case management in Service Cloud, we're talking about queues. So what do you use queues for? You already know what queues are. But then again, the queues are used to prioritize. You need to know why you're using queues. A lot of people use queues because they just want to put something into a default queue so they can show that they know how to set up a queue. No, that's not really the use case of queue. Queue, as the name described, is used to prioritize your support team. So when Omnichannel is at work, it is looking into a queue, and a queue is assigned configuration, okay, which we're going to be looking at. But understand that queues are used to prioritize support team efforts. You just don't use queues because you like queues. You use queues because you want to prioritize the effort. You want to know who is picking up cases. And you need to know how cases are being assigned, okay? And after queues, obviously, the next one is assignment rules. Automatically assigning incoming cases based on criteria set within the business. This is very technical. Reason that you cannot just create assignment rule because you want assignment rule. You have to think carefully. Okay? Then we have escalation rules. There are limits to what our number of escalation rules you can have in the system. You need to think about it when you're creating your escalation rules. Okay? And when you're working with entitlement and milestones, you also have escalation rules. You also have the workflow rules within entitlement and milestones, okay? Now, we have what they call the auto-response rule. Remember, auto-response rule, it can only be used when a case is being created. You cannot use auto-response rule for other things, other use cases. No, you can only use it when a case is being created, okay? And we go further into digital engagement setup. So now you've seen this basic stuff, even though you're familiar with them, but you need to know where it falls under when you're doing the Service Cloud. Queues, assignment, escalation rules, they are all case management setup, which is different from digital engagement setup. By digital engagement setup, I already told you, we have emails, we have web, we have chats, embedded chat, live agent chats. We have voice call. We have CTIs and the likes. Okay, so you need to know what solution you're recommending. Don't just go to a business and tell them that Salesforce can do this, Salesforce can do that. No, you need to go into a business knowing that this is the area of support you want to focus. This is the area of Service Cloud implementation you want to focus, because the licenses vary based on what you are implementing, okay? So don't just implement because Salesforce offers everything. No, Salesforce will charge you for the things you're implementing. So you cannot just offer everything to them. Think carefully before you recommend solution as a consultant. Do a cost-benefit analysis and say, because of this problem, this is what you're recommending. For instance, I wouldn't recommend voice call center, open CCI for Black Force. We can't even afford it. You understand? We cannot afford this, so we cannot even recommend it. If we have someone that is sitting on the computer for 24 hours, then maybe we can recommend chat. But the easiest one for us to recommend is this, because everyone checks their email. Everyone can use their email. The next one is the web, because web is synonymous to email to case. Web to case is synonymous to email to case. It does not require much technical or configuration that we cannot do. However, when you're recommending solution, always look for the cost-benefit analysis, okay? Now, when we talk about Service Cloud knowledge management setup, what are we talking about? We're talking about knowledge base. We're talking about knowledge base, how you store information, how you can access information. We're talking about how you categorize your data. The way you categorize your data is more important than the data itself. You don't want to put article out there and agents cannot access that article. Agents cannot access the article you've published out. So you need to put articles in an orderly manner, okay? Then there is also what they call the article life cycle. Again, if you're familiar with WordPress platform, this might seem like a normal thing to do, create and publish, but there is also what they call update, archive, and delete, meaning that at some point when you've created the article, you have to update the article for newer information. After updating the article, then if the article is no longer used, you archive the article. Archive is just putting it into a least frequently accessed section of your article category, of your business or whatever implementation you've set up. Then you delete the article. If you haven't used an article for more than 2 years, 3 years, then maybe the article is obsolete. You delete it. Okay, so this is article management, and there's a life cycle to it. We're going to be touching based on knowledge management when we get to knowledge management setup. Okay, and also there's what they call the community and self-service portal. This is the most, would I say, the cheapest way to optimize your customer, your service center. However, it is not probably the best in terms of customer satisfaction, in my own opinion. If for instance, it's very hard to get in touch with Salesforce. It's very hard to get in touch with Salesforce because they provide everything you need. They provided everything you need to manage your business. However, they still provide that call center. They provide that chat, which you can use. They still provide it, but it's very hard to actually speak to someone, like a person. Okay, that's what Salesforce is optimizing. Salesforce is literally using what they are providing to optimize their business, in my own opinion, okay? But when we get there, we'll see how to set up community and how to set up a self-service portal whereby you can use to optimize a business. At the end of this training, you should be able to consult as a Service Cloud professional, okay? Now, we have what they call the Service Cloud Entitlement Management Setup. What does that mean? I gave you an overview of entitlement, but there's a setup for it. If you don't know how to set it up, there is no point telling people about creating service level agreement. How do you create the SLA? How do you set it up? How do you create entitlement process? How do you assign an entitlement to an account? All this requires setup. Then we're going to talk about milestones. What are milestones? What are they used for? The milestone tracker shows you how much time is remaining before hitting a milestone, before reaching a service. How would I put it? Milestones shows you how much time is remaining before hitting a milestone. This shouldn't be before hitting a milestone. It should be before you breach the service level agreement. Because the service level agreement says you must resolve this case in 3 hours, or you must reply the customer within 10 minutes of them sending an email, or you must pick up the customer call within 15 minutes of them calling and they are placed on the queue. That's what they call the milestones. First response, second response, and the likes. You have to set it up. How do you set it up? We have to talk about it and the workflow actions that goes with milestones. So whenever we have a milestone, we also have workflow action in case the milestone is breached. There's what they call warning action. There's what they call, is it dangerous action or something like that? That's something when something has used the time they are required to have resolved the case. Okay, so there's warning. There is I think there is I don't know what it's called in terms of the name, but it is when a service has been breached. Okay, we're going to see how that works, and we're going to see an example of how we can set it up. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot to cover in Service Cloud. There's so much to cover. But before I go into industry knowledge, I would like to find out from you guys, are you already overwhelmed with Service Cloud, or you feel excited about what is coming? Because I need to know I'm not just talking. I need to know that you guys are with me and you guys are willing to go this mile with me, because trust me, it's going to be technical at some point, maybe starting tomorrow, and I don't want to lose you guys, okay? So I'm just going to put a pause here to find out how you guys are feeling and how interested are you guys to continue with this, okay? So let me just put a pause and find out if you guys have any questions before we go into industry knowledge, okay? Please unmute yourself, raise your hand up, and I'll let you unmute yourself and speak. If you have any question, please. Babsken, unmute yourself and speak, please.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, you can speak.
Hello, boss. Hello?
I can hear you. You can speak.
Awesome. Thank you again for a new session. We're glad to start a new certification process. Thank you again for all you do and the team. I have two key questions so far from what you've discussed with us. One of them is based on what you've discussed with us today, what you taught us today. Is my question is, first of all, the first one is, can you combine two or more in this omni-channel agent? Can you combine two or more, meaning like skill-based routing and the most available? Can we combine that? That's my first question. I'm sure you understand why I'm looking at that rationale, right? The second thing is, what are the pros and cons of implementing an omni-channel model, for example, for an organization?
Okay, that's good. The first question is, yes, you can implement skill, okay, and you can implement queue-based. It's based on configuration for a particular queue, okay? So every implementation would have configuration. So if you have SLA, if you have agreement, service level agreement created for resolving XYZ account type or whatever it is, you can create, omni-channel response strategy for that use case. For another record type, you can also create omni-channel response. Okay, so we can have 2 or 3 omni-channel responses for a particular configuration. Okay, that is possible. And in terms of what's the second one was? Remind me of the second one again. I just missed it. I just missed the second one. I remember shortly.
Yes.
But I just
So the second one is basically trying to understand the key pros and cons of an omni-channel model for a typical organization. Are there drawbacks? Or I know it sounds like omni-channel model does have a lot of advantages, right? I mean, that's the age we live in, right? Some prefer text, some prefer phone calls, some prefer social media contact, all kinds of stuff, right? Now, I'm sure that there are also drawbacks to it. I just want to pick your brain on exactly when we consultants are talking to some of these potential clients or these clients, and they're asking, they want everything. There are drawbacks, so we can call their attention to the other than cost. These are some of the things that might also be very relevant to consider in terms of maybe the downside other than the upside.
Yes, that's a good question. And to answer your question, what I would say is this, okay? You don't just use omnichannel because you want to use it. And you have to activate those channels. If the channels are not active, then omnichannel will not see it, okay? That's number one. Number two, in terms of pros, obviously it's optimized, highly optimized. But if you don't have data to optimize, what exactly are you optimizing? For instance, if you have only five support agents, right? Why would you want to optimize omnichannel for? Why would you even want to use omnichannel for five distinct omnichannels for five support agents when you know that maybe one agent is working morning and the other is working evening or something like that, right? So you need to have bigger organization to actually see the effectiveness of omnichannel. That's my keyword here. If the organization is not big enough for you to be using all these features, it's just overkill. Okay, it's just like you trying to drive Ferrari in I wouldn't call it Ibadan, maybe like in a very remote village in Nigeria, right? In as much as Ferrari is cool, but if you don't drive it in Lagos or you don't drive it on a very good road, it's just pretty much useless to the person driving it, right? So my point is this: omnichannel is good, but if you don't have enough data you want to optimize, if you don't have enough data you want to route, if you don't have enough cases, then you don't need to use it, right? That's number one. Number two, again, you can activate those channels. You can see which of the channels are effective. You can say, okay, emails are more effective than phone call. Or phone calls are more effective than live chat. Then you activate it. So it's about analysis of the business. It's not about your opinion. It's about, look, your opinion comes in when you talk as a consultant. This is what you're recommending based on this. That's fine. But now, before you can recommend, you need the analysis. You need to have analyzed the system, find out the volume, find out the data. The data point determines whether you're going to be putting in chats, emails, or phone call. Imagine you having two customer service rep and you're putting omnichannel as phone call. What if it's not going to get used? Okay, because people will just call. Right now, we don't pick up calls at Blackforce. Not like we don't want to pick up calls, but picking up calls takes about 1 hour of an agent time. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for someone to call for 1 hour and we pay an agent $50 or $100 or $200 per hour, and the agent did not close any sale based on that call. And once people get a phone call opportunity, they can tell their life story just by calling you. But then again, does that life story translate into revenue for the business? Maybe not. So there are pros and cons, but you have to analyze it as a business before maybe you recommend. Okay, that's my opinion. Does that help you?
Yeah, it does, except that as an Ibadan boy, that's a big one to take.
I'm sorry about that. Ken Francis, please.
Thank you, Baba, for guiding us through. So my question comes, I have two of them. The first one is the same omnichannel, and what's the link between omnichannel, escalation, and assignment? Maybe I have an issue. I know this guy is specialized, is good whenever you reach out to him on this. Can I activate omnichannel for that?
That's a very good question. And do you know why? Because most people talk about omnichannel and the next thing they want to go implement it. But if escalation rule can solve it, you don't need omnichannel. Omnichannel is to optimize the agent, to optimize the to optimize the agent's availability and the response rates, right? But if you already have things in place that can address that, then you might not need it. However, omnichannel is real time. Omnichannel is dynamic, real time, and it's like immediate. So for instance, you have 5 agents working. If 3 goes offline right now, omnichannel optimizes itself to give the other 2 jobs to do. Whereas escalation assignment just waits. It's based on configuration you set. So it's not, in as much as obviously it's real time, but it's not as real time as omnichannel. Do you get what I mean? Assignment rule will be waiting. Okay, this stuff matches this, fine, assign. Escalation rule will be waiting for 2 hours from now, 5 hours from now, assign or escalate. But omnichannel does it in real time. So that's the benefit of omnichannel over that. But as you can see, omnichannel requires extra license or requires extra configuration and extra development time or consultancy time, right? So for you to implement omnichannel, you must have weighed in the cost benefit of doing this over escalation rule, over assignment rule. Okay, so that's what I would say in time. Again, we have to be talking as a professional right now. Everyone would have their opinion. So I'm giving you my opinion, but don't accept it as the final call. However, we can challenge that opinion if you have suggestions that are better than that opinion. Okay, Ken Francis, are you good?
Yeah, so why I kind of put it like this customer is waiting for 2 hours, and that brings me to like entitlement and milestone, which you don't want to lose those customers because you have in your organization, you have your tiers and people you pay more attention because maybe you're getting more and you don't want to lose them. So, and I know Babatope has this special skill. And I have this customer calling. Why can't I activate it? Yes, it will cost me more and take me kind of a bit time to activate, but I'll get my customer satisfied. That's why I was like, can't I activate it instead of going through escalation and
you can activate it, but if you don't have enough resources to handle the activation, it's not effective. That's my point. Like, it's not effective to just use nice AI. AI stuff are based on data. AI is based on data, and omnichannel is gearing towards AI. So if you don't have enough data to even determine whether this person is the least active. What's not if least active means the person does not really get, there are not enough cases coming into the system. Do you get what I mean? Like, it could be least active because they're not just cases. So how would you know if someone is least active if you don't have data or if you don't have enough agents to kind of, what if you have just 2 agents? You know, I'm just saying, but then again, it depends on the business budget, depends on so many factors. I will teach you how to do it, but then you will now use your technical brain and analysis to determine if that is what you want to recommend for the business or not. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the second question is based on entitlement and milestone. So like in an organization which some cases has been escalated based on tiers. For example, I have clients and these 2 clients, they are my tier 1. How can like they are my tier 1 and their 2 cases came the same time? Can I take one? How do I assign it? That's what I'm like kind of confused with that.
Okay, let me explain entitlement and milestone again. Maybe that would help you. Entitlement is what this guy is entitled to. For instance, if professional members, okay, actually, this is a very good example. Black Force professional members, they are entitled to 5 hours of mentorship time. That's their entitlement. So if you use 5 hours of your entitlement, then you have to pay for extra hours of mentorship. So now, can you see that entitlement does not really impact, in as much as entitlement and business processes are interlinked, but entitlement does not accelerate, how would I put it? Entitlement does not accelerate responses, but it actually shows what the agent can do for you.
Okay.
Can the agent pick your call because you're calling? Should the agent pick your call because you're calling? No. But would the agent pick your call because you're entitled to a call pick? Yes, if it's on your entitlement. When we get to entitlement, you will see that you can design entitlement such that number of phone calls that needs to be picked in a month, 100. So if you call more than 100 times in a month, the next 101 call, I will not pick. That's what they call entitlements. Entitlement process are the process which you put in place. Now, milestones. Milestones is now the customer has created a case, okay? And based on the entitlement and the milestones defined on that entitlement, I need to respond to this customer within 3 hours. Now, milestones and escalation rules, they are interlinked. But entitlement is default based on the contract, based on the SLA, based on the agreement you have with the business. I hope that kind of like makes sense. And when we get there, you get to know more, but I hope this makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Ramat, please unmute yourself and speak.
Okay. Hi, Babatope. So I have 2 questions here. Under the entitlement management, you talked about workflow action. And my question is, Salesforce now is going towards flows, right? And probably the commissioning workflow. Does that also affect this part of Service Cloud? That's the first question I have. Because I know workflows does that, but really does flow, will flow eradicate these workflow actions that we have. And the second question is under you talked in digital setup, Service Cloud digital setup, you talked about chat, and you said chat is hardly used or not really used. So my question is, do we have have you worked in a functionality whereby we use AI for chatting automation? Like example, probably when I want to call it or chat in the bank, yes, exactly. You collect questions that are usually asked, and then you feed the system to ask those questions before you channel it over to an agent. Is that also, I'm sure it's possible in Salesforce, but is it something that you have done? So
yes, I haven't worked with AI personally because I work mostly consulting now. I don't work for small businesses anymore. But Salesforce has it. For instance, if you're talking right now, I can be communicating, and this is typically AI directing me to self-portal, right? It's asking me, is there anything I can help you with? So this is pretty much AI. I still haven't spoken with anyone yet. I still haven't communicated anything else. It's still telling me blah, blah, blah. Okay? You understand? This is pretty much AI, right? There's also what they call preform. Preform is when you fill in a form before the chat pops up. And that one would now help the businesses to get as many data as possible. Based on that data, they can now direct you to someone that will just solve your problem within 2 seconds or 2 minutes. Okay? I wouldn't call that AI, but it kind of like accelerate the process of communication. It's still chat-based, but it limits the number of interaction you have to make with the agent before your case get resolved. Okay? But I think Salesforce has AI-driven chat. It's just that I have not implemented it before, but I think it's Einstein. Okay? Adeniyi, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Babatope, for everything. Just 2 questions. I think one of them is elementary and might be a bit off, but I still need to ask it. So when I saw Service Cloud or heard about Service Cloud, I thought it was like maybe something that would be so high or difficult. But just for me to be sure I really understood what you've been saying, the Service Cloud, the service is all about, service production, complaint management, case management, different methods and all that. Why cloud is just because it's a Salesforce CRM that is cloud-based. I hope that is right in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Service is just how you respond to customer using the tools and techniques or features available for the Service Cloud platform.
Okay. The other thing will be, as we're trying to be consultants and all that, as new or fresh consultant, when Babs Kenny has something, you were speaking about, the importance of data, or being driven by data. And, in an industry with a lot, you might be in a meeting and people might be saying different things. And like you said, individuals will have different opinions. As someone who is just coming into the industry, how do we make sure, or how can we try to ensure we're getting relevant data to communicate to people? For example, we talked about omnichannel, and what's the other one that we've been debating about or chatting about? So if someone was saying like, okay, we should use omnichannel, how are we sure that omnichannel will have more cost-benefit analysis? How are we sure that it will optimize business operations or business processes? Where do we go to see this kind of data that you can use to comparatively convince a business owner or convince guys in the meeting to say, okay, I think this will work best in our scenario? I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sure. We're going to get into 2 practical sessions after this knowledge, this thing. And I'm going to show you what they call dashboard. Okay. So in Salesforce, they have what they call pre-made dashboard. Okay. So you will now see what has happened in the business in the last 3 months. You can make a decision based on those metrics. So there's a strategy. Look at it, guys. I work as a consultant and I know this stuff so good, right? There's a strategy when you want to get buy-ins from the stakeholders. Okay. So you can go into the business and tell them that I want to implement Service Cloud for you. And they were like, why do we need Service Cloud? These things are okay. This is okay. But no, you need to even test them and say, give me these numbers and I'll create a dashboard to show what you guys are spending time on and how this can be improved. So if you cannot buy the stakeholders' interest in what you're proposing, you cannot implement Service Cloud for them. That's number one. Number two, you need to be part of the business. So most likely, Service Cloud consultants, which they hire these days, are just people that want to go and fix problem immediately. But in an ideal situation, for you to set up Service Cloud for an organization, you need to have been part of that organization for at least 1 year to understand the organization. For instance, I can call Rosemary today to propose Service Cloud solutions for Blackforce. But I will not call someone within this cohort to tell me what solution we can do, even though they are part of the cohort. For instance, one of your colleagues in the professional group was recommending frequently asked questions and stuff like that. Yes, frequently asked questions are good. But if you don't even know the number of frequently asked questions, or if you don't even have a curated number of people that would use that service, why would you want to spend time creating it when you can address the issue immediately? So when it comes to Service Cloud implementation, there's what they call roadmap. The roadmap will now tell you, this is the first thing we need to address. Customers are having complaints. What is a tool that can be implemented immediately that will reduce the number of customer complaints? Then the future outlook. What can we do next year? Or not even next year, in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time. That's what they call the roadmap. And strategies are, what is our approach, which you're going to be learning probably tomorrow? Do you want to use agile method to implement this, or you want to use waterfall? Do we want to implement this based on feedback, or we want to just push it out? Like some of the things we push out, some of you guys will say, hey, it's not working, and we ask you to refresh, sign in and sign out. That's implementing an agile way. We're getting feedback from customer and we're deploying solutions. However, for bigger works like maybe something that requires technical solution design, we postpone it to cohort 4, cohort 5. That's what they call roadmap, strategies, implementation methods and everything. But to answer your question, you need to be in the business to actually get that data you need. Otherwise, you'll be talking out of, maybe you just have your experience, but if you don't have the data to back it up, no one believes you, right? So yeah, it's likely you have to be in the business to actually get the buy-in of the stakeholders, okay? Zero, please.
Yes, you may have answered my some of my questions or some of my understanding about what you said about Service Cloud. So I was just going to say, to my understanding, to really know the right solution to apply to an organization's customer-related problem, besides understanding the data, you actually got to know the kind of customer they tend to, depending on the tier and the service level agreements. Because even though you said like the omnichannel may be expensive based on what is on ground on data, the number of people that are going to use it. Peradventure, before you got to that company, they had mentioned something like that to the customer. I said, you know what, I can afford it. I just want to make sure each time I call, I get routed to the best guy within so minutes, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to stay on the call. Or my secretary call, as a matter of fact, I don't want that to wait or him to wait. So I'm just trying to say, to really fully understand what solution to provide, besides the data, you got to understand the organization itself, their pocket, and their customer, which of course will take some time to really know, based on your knowledge, the best solution to give to them. An expensive solution may not necessarily be useless to a particular organization, depending on their pocket and the customer they're dealing with. I just want to throw that out.
Look at customers are different. You need to know the LTV of a customer, right? If you don't know the LTV of a customer, you can just throw an expensive solution to satisfy a customer, and the next thing is your burning cost, your burn rate is high. So if a customer is not making me $2 million, why would I invest a $1 million solution to help the customer happy? Do you get what I mean? Like, you need to know the LTV of the customer. You need to know a lot of things. Okay, so I hope you're right in your analysis, but then again, I wouldn't just satisfy the customer if it's going to be costing my business. Okay?
Yeah, and you're very right. Of course, the solution I will accept from the customer has to be in ratio of how much I'm making from them.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay.
Black folks will know implement omnichannel. That's what I'll just tell you now. Okay, let's carry on.
That would be an extreme customer, maybe Mr. President, right? I'm just saying that would be an extreme. But I just want to throw it out there that the main thing is to be able to understand data, customer, company, and the type of SLA or whatever relationship they have, which over time you can get that information from the company as you stay over there.
Yeah, good stuff. Well done. Thanks. Eko, please, and we go back to the lesson. Eko, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Babatope. You made mention of the fact that, of course, that's obvious. You need a business case to be able to get the buy-ins of the stakeholders of an organization. Now, I just wanted to know, and also you made mention of a dashboard. Okay, is that one, or is that part of the methods you could actually do a comparative cost analysis, just so you are able to push in the solution you want the buy-ins of the stakeholders? That's my question.
Yes, so they are pre-made dashboard by Salesforce, and they are dashboard that a company can also do. Okay, company can use their own metric and the measure which they're looking for. So, for instance, if Salesforce says false resolution call per number of calls determines the effectiveness of the agent, but you could be looking at something else. How much are you paying the agent per hour? So it could be false resolution call, total number of calls per agent hourly rate. Do you get what I mean? So you can create your own customized dashboard to actually address that. But then again, you need to be a business insider to know those kind of data. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. No worries. Okay, let's carry on. So the next segment I would say is industry knowledge. We've already discussed what I refer to as industry knowledge in my own opinion, but then again, Salesforce asks us to do this, so we have to do it. Okay? Industry knowledge, which is general knowledge about Service Cloud, what they do, why you want to implement Service Cloud and the likes. I've already discussed that earlier in that introduction, but then again, let's look at why do you want to implement Service Cloud in an industry? Okay, obviously, you want high customer satisfaction. You want to ensure that your customers are satisfied. Okay, you want to probably increase revenue. You want to increase your revenue from X, 10X to 100X. Those are the challenges. Business asks me, how can I increase my revenue by 20% in the next quarter? That's the challenges from a customer-centric point of view. So you're not solving business challenges from a sales point of view. So don't mix sales, support, operations, and customer support operations. They are two different things, okay? First, sales deals with making money. Service deals with making customer happy. So if you're implementing a solution, even if the challenges will be from a customer service point of view, okay? Accurate forecasting, employee turnover. What does that mean? It means, oh, are my agent leaving my organization because there's too much work? This is where the omnichannel comes into play. This is where you want to implement omnichannel. For instance, RBC can easily do this because maybe obviously there could be another reason for employee turnover in RBC customer service segment or whatever, right? It could be just because they're looking for a job, they got a job, and they have to move on. Maybe they are overqualified for the customer service they're doing, right? So business needs to find out, are the employees I'm getting to represent my customers, are they the employees that want to become a customer service representative, or are they floaters, those that just move into the country and they're just looking for a job? So when you're getting this data, you need to know the type of data you can be getting corrupt data and be solving a problem that doesn't exist, or be solving the wrong problem. Okay, so what would be an objective of this kind of challenges? For instance, increasing customer satisfaction. Increasing customer satisfaction, decreasing cost of service. How do you decrease cost of service? How do you decrease cost of service? How many agents do you have? How many agents are picking up calls? Do I have redundant agents, or my agents are overwhelmed? Or can we use something else to improve agent satisfaction? Even agent needs to be satisfied. By agent, I mean those that are picking your calls, okay? Reducing average wait time. What is average wait time? When you're calling an agent and you don't get a call, or when you're talking to a customer and the agent is on the call for 30 minutes, that's not good. That's not good for business. Again, at Blackforce, we don't pick up calls. The reason why we don't pick up calls is because I've looked at that channel and it's not good for business. To sustain the business, you cannot have someone on the phone for 30 minutes. Okay, so when I've just given you short KPIs to look, challenges to look at, and business objectives to look at, but there are so much. You have to craft this out for the business. Consulting is interesting, but you need to have exposure to these key terminologies when it comes to service consulting. Okay, so now let's kind of like look into some of the definitions of these KPIs, okay, and how it works when it comes to service implementation. So before we go to KPIs, for the benefit of those that don't know KPIs are quantifiable, measurable gauge or metrics or data you use to gauge the company overall long-term performance. Okay, so for instance, if people are sending emails and they don't get a response in 2 hours, 3 hours, then there's an immediate problem. However, if customers are not getting response 3 hours for the next 6 months, this continues, then we know that this business will not exist in 2 years' time or in a year's time. So you want to study using what they call key performance indicators. If people come to Blackforce today and they don't get a job in 3 months or 6 months, we might not have Blackforce next year. But if people are getting jobs, then chances are business will continue. That's what they call key performance indicators. Key metrics you're looking at for business growth. But now don't look at business growth. when you work as a consultant, a service consultant, take away your mind from business growth and focus on customer satisfaction. Focus on agent productivity. Focus on tools that enables agent to perform better. Okay, so now, what do they call first call resolution? First call resolution, number of calls completed, number of calls resolved on first interaction with the customer. Let's say you call Blackforce right now. I'll keep using Blackforce because that's the only business we can relate with right now, right? Once you call Blackforce and we pick up the call and we say we start looking into your situation. And after 30 minutes, we still cannot resolve it. That's not a good thing, right? But if we're able to resolve it during that call, that first call, then we know that there is a good first call resolution number. And you measure the rates based on the total calls. If you receive 100 calls today and the first call that we pick up, we resolve the issue of the customer, then that's a good rate. So even though sometimes it can take time on the call, but if we resolve that issue during the call, then it's a good number to measure, okay? Average handle time. Average handle time, entire duration of customer. Let's say you're on the call with a customer and it takes 30 minutes to resolve a call. Obviously, it can be improved. Can we do something better? So the average handle time, the number of the time it takes to undo that customer issue. And did you escalate that issue? Handle time also has to do with escalation. So if the tier 1 support cannot resolve it, did they escalate it to tier 2? Did they escalate it to tier 3? Or whichever way is, maybe it's a reverse in the other business, fine. But the average handle time deals with the number of time they are on call with that customer and how long did it take. So you want to reduce that number, okay? So when you go and implement Service Cloud for businesses, these are the things you want to find out from the customer. Obviously, there are more, but I'm just giving you tips and stuff like that, okay? Now we go to cost per case. So now if you pay an agent $100 per hour and your agent has only resolved two calls in 1 hour, 2 calls in 1 hour, $100 per hour. So the cost per case is $50. What if the case is just that my username is wrong or I cannot log into the system? The question is, you want to find out, is picking up a call a better approach to solving this business, or creating a frequently asked question, or email to case? So you don't recommend a phone call or CTI for a business if it's going to take longer time to resolve, or if you don't have enough calls coming in a day, or even if the calls coming in a day does not translate into the bottom line. Okay, so cost per case is how many cases have they resolved within a stipulated number of time, number of period, okay? Call abandon rates. What does that mean? If I call a business and the business does not pick up after 30 minutes, that's an abandonment. So the people call Blackforce and they never picked up. And if so, what is the rate at which people call that we did not pick up and they have to abandon that call? That's abandon rate, okay? Obviously, we're not good at this, but then again, it's not the strategy we're implementing at Blackforce, okay? Occupancy rates. The amount of time an agent is on live calls while completing the work. So occupancy is when you are occupying the time of an agent. You are using up an agent. You occupy that space, or that what's it called again? that you have a target maybe for an agent, right? Then the agent is now dealing with your issue. That means you've taken up an agent time. You've occupied a space. Obviously, you are entitled to that space, maybe, I don't know, but you've occupied it. You want to maybe reduce that to improve business goals, okay? Average wait time, how long it takes to pick a customer call. This is different from average handle time. You'll be asked this in your exams. I recently wrote the exam and all the stuff came out. That's why I'm teaching you, because I know it will come out in your exams. And maybe starting from tomorrow, if you're a standard member, I will just give you the quiz app. You can start writing, preparing for your exam right after every class, okay? So you don't have to wait until next month before you write your Service Cloud. You can write it within 2 weeks or so, okay? Now, CSAT, customer satisfaction. This is the most important metric. The most important metric is customer satisfaction. How do you measure customer satisfaction? What are the metrics you're using to measure customer satisfaction? And are customers satisfied? How do you know if customers are satisfied? So if you want to find out if your customers are likely to come to you the next time, you want to look at, for instance, in my logical sense, I want to look at high priority case that did not get resolved on time. I cannot access single login and premium members. Is this guy a professional member that cannot access single login? Or is this guy a professional member that cannot access my learning? That's a big problem. Compared to, is this guy a basic member that cannot access my learning? Obviously, it's not a problem to Blackforce, even though it's a problem, but it's not a bigger problem compared to a professional member that cannot access my learning. So customer satisfaction, CSAT, is used to measure whether the business is progressive or not. And if customers are satisfied, they are likely to return to buy more products from you. Okay, so that's pretty much, what we have in terms of the theory side of things. I know a lot of theory for today, but trust me, in future subsequent session, I'll just go say, okay, today we're doing Service Cloud entitlement setup, and everything we do there will be practical. The next one, I'm going into knowledge management setup. Everything we do there will be practical. So this is probably the longest theory session you're going to have, but we need to discuss this before we get into business. Otherwise, when I speak, you just be thinking I'm talking gibberish or I'm just saying stuff, okay? So now that we have a very good understanding of the Service Cloud and what we should be expecting from a service-oriented or service setup for a business, let's quickly do one or two things in the org just to show you around, okay? So now I'm going to show you the org. Again, you guys probably are aware of the org, okay? You have what they call the objects. This is the object, right? This is where you switch around. As you can see, this is different from I will try to open, which I believe you guys already know anyway, but let me still open it just for the reference sake. This is different from the standard tabs, because this is where the objects are in your normal Salesforce admin classes and everything. But this one, you have it as a drop down here, and you can switch objects, okay? And when you open new cases, it opens in a new tab. So you don't have to close a case to go to a new case. This is the tool they use for productivity as an agent, okay? You have what they call the emails, whereby you can reply to an email. In Blackforce, every email you send goes to the email tab, and we can reply emails directly from Salesforce. Reason why we're doing that is because we are collecting data. The data will be used to build up the frequently asked questions. The data will be used to support operations if support operation will be completely outsourced. So agents wouldn't even need to know what Blackforce is all about. They can read manuals and they can address to customers. Obviously, that's what enterprise, that's what building a scalable enterprise is all about. Okay, now you have what they call the details of the case. But then again, remember, you can arrange all these items whichever way you want it. Okay, this is what they call the feed. This is what they call the feed. And you can see there's also what they call the utility bar. Utility bar is always at the footer of the console app. The utility bar is always at the footer of the console app. Now, you've always seen me say, go to setup, go to setup. For Service Cloud, you don't go to setup, you go to service setup. Service setup is different from the normal setup you have. Although there is not much different as such, but you get quick access to things. You want to add a user, you click on add a user. Unlike the normal setup, whereby you have to go to find user in the quick find and everything, which is almost the same thing. Don't get me wrong. It's the same thing. It's just different interface, different approach. Okay? You add user and it gives you the opportunity to add license. So you don't just add users and you add license. No, you add the user, then you select the profile. Okay? But then again, we already have two, so we cannot have license again. And I told you about omnichannels. This is omnichannels. Okay, we're going to get there shortly, but in subsequent sessions. But this is omnichannels, and you can enable the omnichannel, and everything I've talked about on that omnichannel, you can set it up. We're going to be having that in subsequent classes. Okay, there is what they call the recommended setup. But before you get to recommended setup, there's what they call the dashboard, which is a very simple dashboard that shows you what is happening within this org. Okay, but there is what they call the setup. Now, this is what they call the console Service Cloud setup. What does that mean? It means that you can set up everything I have discussed with you today, one after the other. One after the other, you can set up the phone support, set up the user, set up the chat, set up the email to case, set up help center, set up knowledge management, set up community. There's so much to do with Service Cloud, but we cannot do everything in a day. However, let's do one thing that I feel that is very easy to do, which is the live agent setup. So what is the live agent setup? Before I go into setting up of a live agent, I want to show you this. This is the live agent. You just put a code on your website and you're automatically talking to an agent if you're online or not. Okay, so I can easily just go to chat. I click on start, but remember, what did I do? I click on view all. Okay, I click on view all. Then I click on chat with customers. Then I click on start, which is like a wizard. Okay, I can just give it Blackforce chat. Okay, and I just say operation team. Okay, then I add myself as a user. Then I click on next. Now it's talking about work item size and agent capacity. So what this means is that this is where omnichannel and all this kind of stuff interlinked, okay? Right now it's telling you this is the agent capacity and this is the work item size. So you're looking at agent capacity in terms of what your team can handle. Okay, you're looking at agent capacity in terms of what your team can handle and what this guy can handle. Okay, so you don't want to just put random number here. Obviously, this one needs to be greater than this one. Okay, but it's now up to you to determine how many people do you have in the business, how many people can attend to chat and the likes. Okay, you just don't want to do it because you want to put numbers, you have to think critically that, okay, we have 4 agents that I can put 5. That means this guy will be attending to 25% of all the chat requests that comes into the system. Okay, then we'll click on next. Then you can just put you can just put Blackforce here. You can just put a website for your business, okay? But then again, we're not putting this into Blackforce. But eventually, once we get into if you are a standard Service Cloud, you'll be implementing this for Blackforce in your projects. But for the basic, you guys will just see it once they are done with the implementation. We have this, okay? Just put the Blackforce website and just put a random website here. So it's asking you the site domain for Salesforce deployment, okay? This is just a random, unique site domain you have to put. But for this one is where you want to put the chat on your website, okay? So this one, you have to put your domain, and this one, you can just put a random website, okay? And you accept the terms of use. Everything you're going to be setting up in Service Cloud can be done through a wizard, meaning that you'll be following prompts. Salesforce has made it so easy for you guys to just read and follow the instructions. Where do you want to set it up? Lead or service? Service will be talking about cases and contacts linked to chats with leads, okay? But we're setting it up for service. Then we click on, so it's asking you, what do you want to set it up for? Internal member, external member, or this, because we have record types. That's why it's asking us for this, okay? So it means that whatever cases are being created through the chat is going to be going through these objects and this record type, this object and this record type, because we have these record types present in our hub, okay? So now we click on next, and it's asking for offline support. What does this mean? It means when they try to get in touch with us right now, but maybe it is past the business hours. No agent is around to pick up the chat. Then it will be a form that will be displayed. So they will fill the form and they will be sent an email, okay? But we're not going to do that now. We can do that later on, maybe in clinics, but we're not going to do that now. We click on next. And it's setting the chat up. It takes about a few minutes, and that's it. We're done. That's how to set up the chat you see on this website. Obviously, Salesforce has a very more robust way of setting it up, but that's what we need to do. Now that we've set the chat up, we need to put it on a website, right? So we can just go to, I think, embedded services deployment. So embedded services deployment is just where you can get the code snippet. You know, when I finish my chat setup, a code snippet appeared to me. But the embedded chat is where you can get that code snippet in case you missed it, okay? So I'll go to view. And once I go to view, it gives me this, right? Then I get the code. Okay, this is the same code that I got when I finish my chat setup, okay? I click on done. Now, I want to place this code on any website, okay? You have to give that code to your developer, and your developer will place it on a JavaScript header of the website, just the same way we have the web to case. We place it on the website and it will appear here. You see the chat messenger. But for tonight, we can just use a Salesforce inbuilt website, which is Visual Force page. If you're a developer, you'll probably be aware of this. But if you're not, it's just a simple page in Salesforce whereby you can present information. For instance, if I want to create a very simple Visual Force page, I click on new Visual Force page and I say chat page. Okay, I say chat page. Okay, chat page. and available for Lightning Experience, that's fine. But I want to say this is Black Force customer representation page, okay? Then I save. Obviously, if you're very familiar with the Salesforce admin, your API name should never contain space, okay? Save. Now, we have a simple page. I preview this page. Congratulations, this is Black Force customer representation page, okay? The text is very tiny, but I can make it bigger. I can just make it bigger, okay? Or I can just, if you're familiar with the HTML, you can quickly do this, right? But more importantly, you want to paste the code. The code you got from the Black, this is for developers. You don't have to do this. Whenever you configure the chat, you will just give this to your developer, okay? But because we're doing this tonight, I just want to show you that's how it's going to work. So now you refresh, okay? Then you save, you refresh this page, and you see this stuff here. That's the chat. That's the chat. That's how to enable chat. Right now, you don't see any chat because you haven't activated the chat. But if you activated the chat, you will see the chat here. Okay, so now let's go back to the, what's it called again? Embedded? No, let's get embedded, sorry. So you have this, right? Important, if you make additional changes to your chat after setup, the result may take 10 minutes, that's fine, okay? But you want to do other settings. For instance, you might want to brand your chat. If you want to brand your chat, you can click here, and whatever color you have here right now, you can brand it, and you can, whatever you want to do, you can do, okay? That's not a problem. Then again, you can edit the chat settings. You can have maybe pre-chat message. Pre-chat message is whether you want to collect information before they start chatting. For instance, you want to collect the first name, the last name, the email, and based on those information, you want to quickly look up that user. You want to quickly look up that user. Do you get what I mean? Once you quickly look up that user with those information, or you want to create a case, okay, you can collect information as you are chatting with the customer, okay? And you want to display offline support. If you want to display offline support, you can make this active, and it's going to display offline support, okay? And there's so many other things you can do, like customize the pre-chat and everything, but we're not going to do that. Let's go to Omni. We have these enabled, and let's go to just 1 minute. Let's go to this page, okay? And let's try to see if we can edit this page. No, I want to edit the service console. I'll go to App Manager. Okay, App Manager and Service Console. I go to Service Console, Edit. Okay, and I will go to the utility. Remember, this is one thing we did in admin. It's just a little bit different, but it's still the same thing. We have the omni-channel enabled. That's very important because we cannot use the chat without the omni-channel. And we have the navigation. I want to make sure that the profile, okay, the system admin has a profile. Where's the system admin? Yeah, the system admin is here. Am I missing something? Yeah, that's the system admin, okay? And you also need to go to the system admin profile and ensure that the system admin profile has everything it takes to work as a member of the service support team, okay? So that's very important. You can go to the profile. And you can go to the system admin profile. And you can see some settings here, okay? But remember, all the settings, they do matter when it comes to the configuration, okay? Then you can do like something like this, for instance, the settings presence. This is the settings presence. You can enable, okay, I want to be available for chat. I want to be busy. I want to be available for chat. It can also add more presences here, okay? So basically, you can determine, or you can say agent can be like available for chat or not, okay? And that would now make the agent say, okay, I'm available for chat, I'm not available for chat, and the likes, okay? So that's number one. And you also, let me see if I'm missing something. Chat session, chat transcript, that's fine. Typically, you cannot edit a system admin, okay? And I think that's about it, right? Then you go back to this. I want to make sure that the omnichannel is present, okay? Currently, the omnichannel is offline, meaning that this agent is saying, I cannot accept chat requests, okay? But if you go here, you can say, okay, I want to come online, okay? I am now online, okay? So now this agent is online. That means this agent can accept a chat request, okay? So if you have like 5 people working in your operations, they will have access to log in and they can control whether they are busy, they can accept chat, they cannot accept chat, and the likes, okay? So if you refresh this, then you click on chat. Now, because it's asking you for pre-information, this is where it's going to tell you, fill your first name, fill your last name, your email, okay? And it's going to maybe whatever subjects. If you've enabled offline stuff, it can automatically create case for you. Just say, my learning not showing, okay? Then you just put your email and start chatting, okay? So it's going to tell you an agent is on the way and they're going to pick up shortly, okay? So now you have sent a chat request, okay? You've sent a chat request as a user. Then the agent behind the scene will now see, oh, someone wants to speak with you. This is what you're going to see if you're working for Black Force Operation. You're going to see behind the scene that someone wants to speak with you. But if you have enabled omnichannel, they will just assign it to you, okay? But we're going to get there. Hopefully, we're going to have more use cases for the omnichannel, okay? And maybe because we have 2 licenses, we can use it. You accept the chat. Now, you can talk to the customer. So, tell me what is your problem, okay? Tell me what is your problem. You send the chat, okay? And this guy will see the chat. So tell me what is your problem. And you can say, I cannot access my learning, okay? And the agent will see it and they reply, okay? As you can see, this is very simple and straightforward. You've already done what some people charge $10,000 for. Obviously, they don't charge $10,000 to just implement chat, but they tell them that they will package chat, they will package web to case, they will package email to case, and they will charge you $10,000. Meanwhile, it took me less than 5 minutes to implement. The only thing there is that it's now on Salesforce website. I just need to put it on Black Force website. That's the only difference. So what is the next thing? You have live chat implementation. What is the next thing? You have email to case implementation, web to case implementation. You have CT high implementation. That's Service Cloud. Service Cloud is what you are implementing for the customers based on the problem, based on the need, based on the analysis of data of what the problem is for the customer. You're trying to improve operations. You're trying to get customers satisfied with whatever you're doing. Service-oriented, service cloud, that's what it's all about. Okay, so right now we have this, and the agent just kind of like, okay, I'm tired, I've done this, and I'm going to end the chat. Or I'm going to say, I'm no longer online, and I'm going to make myself busy or whatever it is, and you can get that the agent is busy, okay, and stuff like that. But anyways, if you're done with the chat, you end the chat, and guess what? The chat transcripts would automatically get in the case. So what is the benefit of this? The benefit of this is that you have an agent working, and you have different agents that can take up a chat. So if you've set up omnichannel, you've set up all those kind of routing strategies, this agent will not just get the chat because he's available. He's going to get a chat because he's most skilled, or is the least active, or is the most available. We're going to get into the strategies shortly, but understand that this omnichannel will be there, but you don't have to enable all the channels which they can be used to service a customer. You cannot just enable, if you don't have enough support, why would you enable chats if no one is ever going to pick up the chat? Okay, so I'm going to take a pause here, and I'm going to end here, but I would like you guys to ask me questions regarding what we've discussed today. Remember, the setup we're going to be using for Service Cloud is different from the setup we're going to be using, we've always used for the Salesforce admin and the likes. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we're going to be doing more of implementation. So please, if you want to carry along, bring your laptop and you follow me, or you do this by yourself. Okay, and we're going to be having clinics, tutorials, just like we have for Salesforce admin. If you're a standard member, please check your training schedule to see all those things in your training schedule. So I'm just going to ask you, if you have questions, please raise your hand, and I'm going to call you according to how your hands are being raised. Starting with Bob Kent, please. Bob Kent.
Yeah, boss, thank you again for a very detailed masterpiece. I appreciate what you do for us. My question has to do with the chat. Maybe I didn't hear that correctly. It sounds to me like this is just like a chat bot, like a bot, like ManyChat, ChatRat, TD of this world, right? Embedded inside Salesforce, right?
Yeah.
So what is happening is that even sometimes you may not be available there, but you can actually keep a record of people who are chatting to leave messages or leave calls, depending on what exactly you've configured it to be. Now, the way I'm going with this question is, if we have a legacy chat or a bot that is in place, and we're trying to implement this for a company that already has Salesforce capability, to say, okay, why do you want to keep two of these, right? Is it possible for us to do a migration for them regarding what they already have? Say they already have, let's say, ManyChat, for example. That's my question.
Yeah, we can do a so you say if they have an external chatting platform, is that the question? External chatting platform or still Salesforce?
External chatting platform, which a lot of companies do these days, right?
Yeah, so that's different from Salesforce, right? So what Salesforce recommend, there's what they call API integration of this routing technologies. Okay, so this there's also API based on external system routing strategy. What that means is that you're not using skill based, you're not using queue based, you're just using your own third-party API, which you have to hire a developer to integrate. Having said that, it can be very hard. I have not done it before, so I cannot picture how that live chat will now sync with the case or in real time, because one thing businesses will be avoiding is the number of licenses they have to buy because these licenses will be very expensive to acquire. Considering that if you have 100 agents, you need 100 Salesforce licenses that has access to the case objects. So it's something that they might want to look into. But again, think about it from implementation point of view. you don't want to implement Service Cloud just to focus solely on chat, right? There's so much to Service Cloud than just chat. So I wouldn't even want you to start off like get a project that will require that third party. However, if it's going to make you $1 million, why not? You might as well spend time on it. But then again, Salesforce offers you the API integration for this kind of services. So you just need to recommend it and tell them the requirements, and a developer will develop that solution. Okay? Mesoma, please. Unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, Babatope. Thank you very much. My question has to do with that pre-chat page that you brought up. So is it safe to assume or believe that all of the fields there, are automatically like always required? Like you need to fill in all of the fields before being able to move to the next stage? Or can you set which one, can be required and the one that, and which field that they don't have to fill in?
For the agent, when you're about to chat?
Yes. On the pre-chat page you talked about. When the customer is filling in the pre-chat page.
Yeah, it's something we set up, but you can pre-fill, you can change it, you can do whatever you want. You can even make it not required. Okay, you can even make it not required, so you don't have to ask them to fill a form before they can start chatting. And the only difference is, remember, you can put this code on your company website. So you already have company chatting to your customers and they are all satisfied. Again, it's about customer satisfaction when it comes to Service Cloud. Okay? Eckhart, please.
Thank you so much, Babatope. I just want to make sure, when you mentioned the dashboard earlier on, is that the same dashboard we were talking about initially?
Okay, I'm going to quickly do the dashboard for you guys. I think I forgot that. I'm going to quickly do that now. The dashboard is different, so let me quickly do that, okay? But I'll rather Onye speak, then I quickly go to the dashboard. Onye, please unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, Babatope. I was wondering, does Salesforce offer SMS chat?
They offer everything.
Oh.
Well, I wouldn't say everything, like categorically everything, but they offer most things that you can use to contact business. So SMS, email, a lot of things. Like literally, I'm not sure about WhatsApp, but when I was working as a marketing developer with BMO, we have WhatsApp integration with the Marketing Cloud. We have SMS, we have everything. So you just send in SMS, I can see your account, I can see your profile, I can see everything just by sending SMS. So yes, Salesforce offers it, but I don't know the integration with Service Cloud, but I know in Marketing Cloud, I've done SMS integration and WhatsApp integration, even LinkedIn and Facebook integration. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I'll look into it. Maybe we can do it as our case study as well. We're going to be doing a lot of case studies because this is about you feeling confident as a consultant. It's not about me just talking, but it's about doing and you knowing that when I wouldn't say I hire you, but when I get a contract and I say, this contract requires email integration. Can you please set up email to case for me? And you get paid for that. It could just be 5 hours work. You tell me your rate for per hour, and you get paid. So that's where we're looking at. We're looking at getting contract and just saying, okay, because we have 100 Service Cloud specialists in the room, we can implement this project within 3 months compared to Deloitte that can, I'm not saying obviously we're not going to compete with Deloitte, but I'm just giving you an example, right? Because the whole idea is the workforce, right? And if you have the workforce that is experienced to implement something, why not? Okay. So hopefully the idea is for you to be hands-on, and when the time comes, you will be able to get the benefits of being part of this team. Okay. Matilda, please.
Oh, hi, Babatope. You spoke about the standard members having access to tutorials, clinics, and all. It applies to the professional as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Professionals are all good. Okay. Professionals, you're all good. Yes, you can access videos, but I don't want you to conflict your schedule with the things that you have access to. Know that a business analyst, you should focus on developing your skills as a business analyst. I don't want you to feel like, you're overwhelmed with activities. I want you to focus on your profession. However, the videos will be available for you. And if you have the opportunity of attending the clinics and super badge session and the likes, please attend them, but don't let it be your priority. Just like developers cannot make it tonight because JavaScript is going on. However, they will have access to this video in case they want to watch and see what we learned in Service Cloud the night, okay?
But the links for the tutorials, clinics, and super badges, is it uploaded yet? Because I don't have it on my schedule.
I think you should be able to have access to it. What program are you enrolled into?
Consultant.
What consultants, right? You should be able to have access to the clinics. You don't need the super badge because super badge is during your class. But if you're a Service Cloud consultant, you should have access to Service Cloud clinics, Service Cloud tutorials, and Service Cloud super badge. You should have access to it. So just check with support to make sure that your access is there. Okay, you should be having access to it.
Okay. Then my last question, just like the admin, you kind of referred us to the last cohort to kind of prepare ourselves ahead of the class. Is that applicable with the service? This
is the first time we're doing it.
All right.
I'm even the one teaching clinics and maybe tutorials. So we're going to build up next Service Cloud consultant that will be taking this stuff. Okay. So I want to make sure that next cohort, you guys are the one teaching it. Okay. So if you're interested, if you're committed, you never can tell what could happen. I want you guys to be here tomorrow. As you can see, some of the admins are getting certified, but it's not by my effort. It's because of the mentors that we put in place. So that's where we can build a sustainable Salesforce ecosystem for the Black community. And it requires a commitment. I've already committed my time. Last year, I was making $500,000 just doing this. So imagine what you guys can make if you guys are committed, okay? So just kind of like put in the effort. And if you guys know all this stuff, you can make big bucks and just retire early if you want to, okay? Disa, before we go to the dashboard. Disa, please.
Hi, I have a question about the chat wizard. There was a page with 5 and 20, and I didn't get what those numbers represented.
Where? So which on the chat wizard?
Yeah, when you were trying to set up the chat with a wizard where you have to add in
5 and 20 is capacity. So it has to do with what capacities you have and what you want this particular agent to have. So let's say you have 5 agents and you have 20 chat requests coming in. Capacity should be spread equally for each, right? 4 times 5, 20. So you don't want one agent to be taking 10 requests. Doesn't make sense. So you have to look at your agents. How many agents do you have to take up chat? And how do you want to spread the capacity for chat? Okay? So if you have 10 agents, you don't want to say 5. You want to say 2. Like.
So the number 5 represents the agents.
The number 5 represents how much agents should be taking per session. So agent can take 5 if you have 20 chats.
Oh, okay. Okay. I get it now. Yeah. Thank you.
You don't want to overwhelm the agent. Otherwise, the agent will be confused and they don't know what chat to pick up. Because as you can see, I have to pick up that chat, right? But if you have like 20 chats to pick up, then it doesn't make sense. You just want to give them 5 chats to pick up. Then that's where the omnichannel comes in. Omnichannel automatically routes the chat based on the skill of the agent or based on the queue the agent belongs to. But we're going to get there, okay? We're going to get there. Let's go into dashboard. Just a quick dashboard to show you how you can measure performance. Okay, this is an extra class. I think I planned it, but let's see. So Salesforce gives you out of the box dashboard solution, and you can get that from the App Exchange Marketplace. And the App Exchange Marketplace, it's called Support Dashboard. Okay? Service and Support Dashboard. So what that means is that you install Service and Support Dashboard, and based on your installation, you'll be able to see the performance of the agents, and you can recommend solution. Okay, again, I'm installing app from the App Exchange. This is an admin admin module. So I expect everyone to know what I'm doing right now, okay? I'm installing App Exchange I'm installing an app from the App Exchange. And this is an admin module. I just went to the App Exchange and I install for admin or install for all users if you're confident, but always go with admins only, okay? So now that you click on the installation, it takes about 1 to 2 minutes to install. When it's installed, it's going to send you an email. It's going to send an email in it. Okay, it says continue. Don't worry. You can go to installed packages to find out your installation. Okay, this is your installation. As you can see, it installed this App Exchange dashboard. So it means that you've successfully installed the dashboard. So now you want to look at the key metrics. You know, we're talking about metrics, right? Key metrics. All those KPIs that I was talking about in my presentation, all those KPIs, you know, all these KPIs, Salesforce gives you out of the box, okay? Let me refresh. Just 1 minute. Reports. Did I install? Just 1 minute, okay? To set up, let me go and see if the installation is successful. Install packages. Install packages. Then this is the installation, okay? Click on it and view components. Okay, this is the components. So all this dashboard we have installed. Yeah, I go to reports. I think it's installed successfully. So I go to reports and I go to all reports. Okay, so this is the dashboard. Okay, so you want to see open cases by channel. This is open cases by channel. Okay, out of the box solution. Obviously, you can create this report by yourself, but Salesforce already gave you the report. All you just need to do is change the name. You can add a chat. This is how you create a report out of the box. Salesforce gives you everything you need. You just need to use it. So you want to say average resolution time, month to date. You see, all these KPIs are very crucial. Obviously, we don't have this thing yet. So let's go to open case by channel. Copy. So time closed per rep. If you don't have data, it's not going to show. But if you have data, it's going to show, right? So it's going to give you that report. These are the reports you present to the management and say, based on your Salesforce data of closing case, this is what you currently have. If you implement omnichannel, this is what you're going to get, okay? So this is how you present justification for Service Cloud implementation. So you can actually go to their Salesforce org and install this dashboard reports, and you can even start making decisions based on that, based on their previous data, okay? Remember, all this data is present in reports. You can just change them, but again, it is Salesforce. This is Salesforce out of the box, okay? Please, please, please learn and grow, because this is a big market and is growing rapidly, okay? I think I'm gonna stop here for tonight. Please attend tomorrow class. We're gonna be going straight into technical implementation of one or two things. Depending on how the time permits, we have to do everything I said here, okay? Service Cloud, entitlement management setup, knowledge management setup, digital channel. We're going to choose one or two. We've already done chat. We can do more. Case management. You guys already know case management, but I can do a refresher for you and the likes, okay? So if you're a professional or standard subscriber of Service Cloud, please attend clinics tomorrow. I'll be facilitating, and some of my, one of the mentors will be facilitating whichever way. And we have Super Badge on Thursday, okay? So it's only for standard and professionals, but we have classes. Please try to attend the classes. You will learn a lot by just attending the classes, like right now. However, if you want to do projects and the likes, make sure that you are paying attention to your emails whereby you get sent Service Cloud project and the likes, okay? I think that's all from me. Take care, guys. Have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Bye, everyone.